The message came on a Tuesday morning. All across Earth, every screen, radio, and communication device broadcast the same words. Greetings, people of Earth. The Galactic Council wishes to establish formal relations with your species. At first, many thought it was a joke or a hack. But when the massive ships appeared in orbit, visible even to the naked eye as bright stars that didn't move with the night sky, the truth became impossible to ignore. Humanity was no longer alone. Lisa Nichols stared at the ceiling of her small apartment, unable to sleep despite her exhaustion. Just yesterday, she had been a commander in the North American Space Defense Force, concerned with satellite maintenance and space debris. Today, she was Earth's primary military liaison to an alien civilization. Her phone rang. It was 3 a.m. "Commander Nichols," she answered, her voice steady despite her nerves. "They want to meet tomorrow," said General Harris, her superior, "on the International Space Station. You'll be going up with Frank Garcia from the State Department." Lisa had met Frank once at a government function. He was a veteran diplomat with a calm demeanor and sharp mind. If anyone could handle first contact negotiations, it would be him. "Yes, sir," she said. "I'll be ready." The journey to orbit was tense. Frank sat across from Lisa in the shuttle, reviewing notes on his tablet. "Any advice?" Lisa asked. Frank looked up and smiled slightly. "In my 30 years of diplomacy, I've never prepared for a meeting with aliens, but the basics should still apply. Watch more than you speak. Look for patterns, and remember that even their smallest gestures might mean something completely different in their culture." The International Space Station had been cleared of all personnel except for a skeleton crew. As Lisa and Frank floated through the main module, Lisa noticed the modifications that had been made overnight. The far wall now featured an airlock attachment that hadn't been there before, one that connected to the alien vessel. "They built this docking system in hours," Lisa whispered. "Their technology is far beyond ours." A soft hum indicated pressure equalization. The airlock doors slid open. The being that entered was tall, nearly 8 feet, with 6 limbs and skin that shimmered with a blue-green iridescence. Its head was elongated with 3 sets of eyes arranged vertically. It wore what appeared to be a ceremonial garment of metallic fabric. "I am High Ambassador Skithel of the Morthal, senior representative of the Galactic Council," it said in perfect English. Its voice had an odd musical quality, as though each word were part of a larger melody. "We are pleased that Earth has reached a development stage suitable for contact." Frank stepped forward. "I am Frank Garcia, diplomatic envoy of the United Nations of Earth. This is Commander Lisa Nichols, our military liaison. We welcome you in peace and friendship." The alien's top pair of eyes blinked in sequence. "The Council has observed your world for many cycles. Earth is of great interest to us. Your biological diversity and mineral resources are quite remarkable." Lisa noticed how the alien's middle arms never stopped moving, making small gestures that seemed to correspond with its speech. She also caught the emphasis on resources and felt a slight chill. "We have much to discuss," Skithel continued. "The Council governs 37 spacefaring species across this spiral arm of the galaxy. We maintain order, facilitate trade, and protect developing worlds from exploitation. Earth would benefit greatly from our protection." Throughout the 4-hour meeting, Lisa remained mostly silent, observing. The Morthal spoke extensively about the benefits of Council membership, but was vague on what would be expected of Earth in return. Several times, Skithel requested permission to conduct scans of the station and its human occupants. Each time, the alien seemed disappointed when Frank politely limited the scope of these scans. As they prepared to return to Earth, Lisa pulled Frank aside. "There's something they're not telling us," she said quietly. Frank nodded. "I know, and I intend to find out what it is." Behind them, Skithel's 3 sets of eyes watched with calculating interest. 2 weeks passed quickly. The world changed in ways both subtle and profound. Children pointed at the sky, looking for alien ships. Religious leaders debated the meaning of extraterrestrial life. Markets rose and fell with each new rumor about alien technology. Frank Garcia sat alone in the conference room aboard the International Space Station, reviewing his notes. Today, the Galactic Council would present their formal proposal. His stomach tightened with anticipation. The door slid open. Lissa Nichols entered, her uniform crisped despite the zero gravity. "Ready for the big reveal?" she asked. Frank nodded. "As ready as I'll ever be." The meeting room had been modified again. Now it contained a large circular table with strange symbols etched into its surface. When Lisa touched one curiously, it glowed blue. "Please do not activate the communication array," said a voice from the doorway. High Ambassador Skithel floated in, followed by two smaller aliens of different species. "It is calibrated for council frequencies only. Human nervous systems might find the feedback uncomfortable." "My apologies," Lisa said, pulling her hand back. Skithel gestured to the seats. "Let us begin. After careful consideration, the Council has prepared an extremely generous offer for Earth." A three-dimensional projection appeared above the table, showing complex diagrams and alien text that shifted into English as they watched. "Earth will be granted protected species status," Skithel announced. "You will receive limited access to Council technology, primarily medical and agricultural advancements. Your planet will be integrated into the galactic economy at Tier 7 status." "And what does Earth provide in return?" Frank asked, keeping his voice neutral despite the alarms going off in his head. Tier 7 sounded very low. "Merely reasonable commitments," Skithel said. "Population controls to ensure sustainability. Restricted space exploration. For safety, of course. And resource allocation quotas." The projection changed to show a breakdown of Earth's resources. 40% of rare metals, 30% of fresh water, and 50% of biological materials were highlighted. "You want 40% of our rare metals," Lisa blurted out. "A standard arrangement," one of the smaller aliens said. "Many worlds provide 60% or more." Frank maintained his diplomatic composure, but inwardly he was stunned. This wasn't a partnership offer. It was a resource claim disguised as protection. "We'll need time to review these terms with our governments," Frank said carefully. "Of course," Skithel agreed. "Though I should mention that delays in accepting Council protection can lead to misunderstandings. Some species mistake our patience for weakness." Back on Earth, in a secure laboratory beneath the Rocky Mountains, Dr. Alan West frowned at his screen. Something wasn't right with the biological data the Council had shared. "Sam, can you look at this?" he called to his colleague. Dr. Samantha Kelly pushed her glasses up and leaned over. "What am I looking at?" "These are the official scans they gave us of their biological survey," Alan said. "But I found this hidden data packet embedded in the file structure." He pulled up another screen showing much more extensive information. "They're collecting way more than they told us." Samantha's eyes widened. "Is that human DNA sequencing?" "Complete mapping of 87 human subjects," Alan confirmed. "And they're particularly interested in our immune responses." Across the room, a monitor flashed red. Samantha hurried over to check it. "We've got unauthorized entry in the atmosphere," she said. "Small probes, about the size of basketballs. They're dispersing over major population centers. Does Defense know?" "They should. This alert goes straight to Commander Nichols' team." In orbit, Lisa's secure tablet buzzed. She excused herself from the meeting where Frank was still carefully discussing terms. When she saw the alert, her face hardened. She typed a quick message to Frank. "Council probes entering atmosphere without permission. They're lying to us." Frank read the message without changing his expression. He looked up at Skithel, seeing the alien in a new light. "We look forward to continued discussions," Frank said smoothly. "Earth appreciates the Council's interest in our well-being." Skithel's middle arms made a subtle gesture that Lisa now recognized as satisfaction. "The Council is confident you will make the wise choice," the alien said. "Few species refuse our generous protection." As they left the meeting, Lisa whispered to Frank, "We need to find out what happens to those who do refuse." "Already on it," Frank replied. "And I don't think we're going to like the answer." Lisa sat in the dark monitoring room, surrounded by screens showing data from the captured alien probe. Her team had managed to intercept one of the devices before it could self-destruct. What they found changed everything. "Play it again," she told the technician. The audio filled the room. It was a transmission between council ships, translated by the computers. Earth assessment update. Class 4 resource world with manageable indigenous resistance. Preliminary scans show excellent heavy metal deposits and useful biological diversity. Indigenous species shows concerning rate of technological advancement, but remains vulnerable to standard containment protocols. The cold, clinical way they discussed humanity made Lisa's skin crawl. Earth wasn't seen as a partner. It was just another resource to exploit. Her secure phone rang. It was Alan West. "Commander, you need to see this," he said without greeting. "I've been looking into other species under council protection. It's not good." "Tell me," Lisa said. "The Brantari accepted council terms 50 years ago. Their population has decreased by 60%. Their world's resources are nearly depleted. The Vex joined 100 years ago. They're practically extinct now, with only a few thousand left serving as workers on council ships." Lisa closed her eyes briefly. "So the protection is more like slow-motion conquest." "Exactly. And get this, we found references to species who refused council terms. Most aren't mentioned again in any records we can access. It's like they just disappeared." Lisa thanked him and ended the call. It was time to talk to Frank. Frank Garcia was in the middle of a tense meeting with his diplomatic team when Lisa arrived. The room fell silent as she entered. "We need to talk," she said. "Now." Frank nodded and led her to a secure room. "They're lying about everything," Lisa said once the door closed. She showed him the probe data and explained what Alan had discovered. Frank's usually calm face showed real fear. "I suspected they were hiding something, but this..." He shook his head. "They see us as resources, not people." "We need to confront them," Lisa said. "Agreed. But carefully. If they realize we know their true intentions, they might skip the diplomacy entirely." The next meeting with Skithel was set for noon. This time, both Frank and Lisa came prepared. "Before we continue discussing your proposal," Frank began, "we have some questions about other species under council protection." The alien's middle eyes narrowed slightly. "Such as the Brantari, for instance, or the Vex. Both accepted council terms. Both have suffered catastrophic population decline since." Skell's limbs stiffened. "Those cases involved unique circumstances." "And what about species who refused council terms?" Lisa asked. "Why don't they appear in any of the records you've shared?" "I'm not familiar with any refusals," Skithel said, but its color had darkened to a deep blue-green. Frank placed a small device on the table. It projected images of the council probe they had captured. This device was collecting detailed scans of our defense systems and population centers, Frank said. "It entered our atmosphere without permission." Skithel's 3 sets of eyes blinked rapidly. "A simple survey tool. Standard procedure." "It was programmed to self-destruct if detected," Lisa pointed out. "That doesn't sound like standard survey procedure." Skithel stood suddenly, towering over them. "Humans show concerning signs of primitive paranoia. This is why council guidance is necessary for your development. Your species has potential as a resource provider, but your suspicion makes you difficult." "Resource provider," Frank repeated. "I thought we were to be partners." "A figure of speech," Skithel said quickly. "Now about the agreement. Delays are inadvisable. The council grows impatient. There could be unfortunate consequences." Lisa and Frank exchanged glances. The threat was barely hidden now. "We'll convey your concerns to Earth's leaders," Frank said carefully. As they left, Lisa whispered, We need to prepare. For everything. Frank nodded grimly. I don't think they're used to being refused. Then they're in for a surprise, Lisa said, because there's no way Earth is accepting these terms. In orbit above them, more council ships were arriving daily. The countdown to a decision was accelerating, whether Earth was ready or not. For the first time in history, the leaders of every nation on Earth gathered in one room. Old enemies sat side by side. Countries that had been at war for generations now faced a common threat. President Olivia Martinez of the North American Alliance stood at the podium. The room fell silent. The evidence is clear, she said. The Galactic Council sees Earth as nothing more than a resource to be harvested. Their protection is false. Their friendship is a lie. Screens around the room showed the data Lisa and Frank had collected. The intercepted transmissions, the fate of other protected species, the unauthorized probes. We stand at a crossroads, President Martinez continued. We can surrender our planet's resources and our people's future, or we can stand together and reject their terms. The Chinese premier stood. If we refuse, they may attack. Their technology is far beyond ours. That's why we've been working on this, said Dr. Alan West, stepping forward. Behind him, a team wheeled in a strange device partly built from components of the captured alien probe. We've analyzed their technology, Alan explained. Their ships use a communication system vulnerable to targeted electromagnetic pulses. We can disable their vessels without destroying them. And we've developed shields based on their own designs, added Dr. Samantha Kelly. Not perfect, but enough to give us a fighting chance. The room buzzed with whispers. Hope mixed with fear. President Martinez raised her hands for silence. The choice before us is simple but not easy. Accept slow death under their control or risk everything for freedom. The vote was unanimous. Earth would reject the Council's terms. Lisa Nichols, now promoted to Admiral, stood in the newly created war room beneath the Rocky Mountains. Screens showed the positions of Earth's combined space forces, a hastily assembled fleet of military spacecraft, never designed for combat against alien vessels. Status report, she ordered. All units in position. Her second-in-command reported. Defensive systems at 87% capacity. Pulse weapons ready. Lisa nodded, and our special surprise. Ready to deploy on your command. The door opened, and Frank Garcia entered. He looked tired but determined. They've agreed to one final meeting, he said. I'll deliver our answer in person. Lisa turned to face him. Be careful up there. Once they hear our response, things could get ugly fast. Frank managed a small smile. That's why I'm glad you've got my back. Hours later, Frank stood before High Ambassador Skithel and a full delegation of council representatives aboard their command ship. The aliens' confidence was obvious. None expected resistance. The people of Earth have carefully considered your generous offer, Frank began, keeping his voice steady. Skithel's upper limbs made a gesture of satisfaction. The Council is pleased by your wisdom. Once you sign the agreement, your transition to protected status will. We decline, Frank interrupted. The room went completely silent. Skithel's 3 sets of eyes blinked rapidly in sequence. Perhaps there is a translation error, another alien suggested. He cannot mean. There is no error, Frank said firmly. Earth rejects the Council's terms. We will not surrender our resources, limit our population, or restrict our exploration of space. Skithel's color darkened to a deep purple. This is unprecedented. No species has ever rejected Council protection. Then we are honored to be the first, Frank replied. You do not understand the consequences, Skithel said, voice hardening. The Council has ways of dealing with uncooperative worlds. Frank straightened his shoulders. And humanity has ways of defending its freedom. We desire peaceful relations with all species, including yours. But we will not accept subjugation. As Frank spoke, Admiral Lisa watched from the war room. At her command, Earth's combined space forces moved into defensive positions. "They're powering up weapons," an officer reported. Lisa nodded grimly. "Then it's begun. Deploy countermeasures. Operation Defiance is now active." In orbit, 12 small, stealthy spacecraft detached from Earth's larger vessels. Each carried a specially designed electromagnetic pulse generator targeted to the unique frequency of Council communications. The war for Earth's independence was about to begin. Aboard the Council's massive flagship, chaos erupted. For the first time in over 4,000 years, a species had rejected their terms. The 7 senior representatives of the dominant Council species gathered in the command center, their voices overlapping in anger and disbelief. "Impossible," bellowed the Krith representative, his scaled skin flushing red. "No world has ever dared." "The humans must be made an example of," hissed the Vorax delegate. "Send the disciplinary fleet immediately." Only one voice spoke against immediate action. Skinera, a junior intelligence officer from the same Morthal species as Skithel, stood at the back of the room, her color shifting to a cautious yellow. "We have underestimated these humans," she said quietly. "Our scans show they have already adapted some of our technology. They have disabled one of our probes and studied it." High Ambassador Skithel dismissed her concerns with a wave of his upper limbs. "They are primitives with borrowed toys. Our disciplinary fleet will show them the cost of defiance." The Council voted. The decision was made. A fleet of 30 warships detached from the main Council armada. Their mission was simple: establish orbit around Earth and fire warning shots at unpopulated areas to demonstrate Council power. The humans would panic, surrender, and accept harsher terms. It was a scenario that had played out dozens of times with other species. But this time would be different. In the war room beneath the Rocky Mountains, Admiral Lisa Nichols watched the approaching Council ships on the main screen. Her palms were sweaty, but her voice remained calm as she gave orders. "They're moving into standard attack formation," reported her tactical officer. "Weapons powering up." Lisa nodded. "Wait until they're committed to their approach. Then execute Operation Defiance." Frank Garcia stood beside her, his diplomatic role now shifted to advisor. "Do you think this will work?" he asked quietly. "It has to," Lisa replied. "Because if it doesn't, we have nothing else." On the screen, the Council ships entered Earth's orbit, spreading out to surround the planet. Their weapon systems glowed as they prepared to fire. "Now," Lisa ordered. 12 small Earth vessels that had been hiding in the shadow of orbiting debris suddenly activated. Each released a specially designed pulse weapon aimed at the nearest Council ship. The pulses weren't designed to destroy. They targeted the exact frequency of Council communication systems. On the Council ships, chaos erupted. Screens went dark. Communication links failed. Navigation systems reset. The carefully coordinated attack dissolved into confusion. "First wave successful," reported Lisa's tactical officer. 11 Council ships disabled, 1 partially affected. "Second wave, launch now," Lisa ordered. Earth's main defensive fleet moved into position, targeting the remaining functional Council vessels with conventional weapons. The battle was brief but intense. 3 more Council ships lost power. 4 retreated to a higher orbit. The rest held position, weapons now powered down. "They're sending a message," said the communications officer. "Text only." "Put it on screen," Lisa ordered. The message was brief. "This aggression against Council authority is unprecedented. Cease fire immediately." Lisa smiled grimly. "Send our response." On the screen appeared humanity's answer. "This defense of our sovereign world is non-negotiable. Withdraw your vessels or more will be disabled." In the Council flagship, far beyond the battle, the senior representatives watched in stunned silence as their disciplinary fleet failed. Never in Council history had a primitive species successfully resisted. "How?" demanded the Krith representative. "How have they done this?" Skinera stepped forward again. "We assumed they would react as other species have, with fear and submission. But humans appear to unite in the face of threats. And they learn quickly, very quickly. High Ambassador Skithel's color had faded to a pale blue. "Recall the remaining vessels," he ordered. "We must reconsider our approach." As the Council ships retreated, cheers erupted in Earth's war room. But Lisa and Frank exchanged knowing glances. This wasn't victory. It was only the first battle in what would likely be a long war. "They'll be back," Lisa said quietly. "And next time, they'll come with everything they have." "Then we better get ready," Frank replied. "Because now they know humans don't surrender easily." Around the world, people watched the distant flashes of light in the night sky, unaware that humanity had just changed the course of galactic history. News of Earth's victory spread quickly across the galaxy. For 4 millennia, the Council had ruled without serious challenge. Now, a species that had barely left its own planet had defeated their ships in battle. On 17 worlds under Council protection, the news sparked hope. Secret meetings were held. Plans long abandoned were reconsidered. Perhaps the mighty Council wasn't invincible after all. Back on Earth, Admiral Lisa Nichols faced a different kind of battle. What to do with the captured alien vessels? 3 Council ships had been completely disabled, their crews evacuated by the retreating fleet. "These ships are gold mines," Dr. Alan West said, walking around the alien engine room. "Their technology is centuries beyond ours." Lisa nodded. "Can we get them operational?" "With time, yes," Samantha Kelly answered. She pointed to strange symbols on a control panel. "We're figuring out their systems quickly. The biggest challenge is their navigation. It's designed for their biology, not ours." In another part of the ship, Frank Garcia made an unexpected discovery. While examining what appeared to be a communications array, he received a message. It wasn't from the Council leadership. "Admiral," Frank called through his radio. "I need you here now." When Lisa arrived, Frank showed her the message displayed on the alien screen. "It's from someone named Skinnera," he explained. "She's part of a faction within the Council that opposes their current policies." Lisa read the message with growing excitement. "She's offering to help us, and says there are others who feel the same. Apparently, our resistance has caused quite a stir," Frank said. "Several subjugated species see us as inspiration. They want to help us before the Council returns in force." "Can we trust her?" Lisa asked. "I don't know," Frank admitted, "but she's sharing technical information about Council ships that matches what we've already discovered, and she's offering more." The next day, a secure communication channel was established with Skinnera and representatives from 4 other species. Each had suffered under Council rule. Each offered knowledge, resources, or technical assistance. "The Council is in disarray," Skinnera explained, her image flickering on the screen. "Nothing like this has happened in recorded history. The dominant species blame each other for the failure. Meanwhile, many of us see an opportunity for change." Lisa leaned forward. "What are they planning next?" "A full invasion fleet," Skinnera said grimly. "They will return in 6 months with hundreds of ships. They intend to make Earth an example." 6 months, Lisa repeated. "That's not much time." "Use it wisely," advised Krell, a stocky, gray-skinned being from a mining world. "We can provide shield technology superior to what you've developed. And I can transmit specifications for weapons that target Council weak points," added Vish, a slender creature with 4 arms. President Martinez made the decision quickly. Earth would accept help from these potential allies while preparing for the coming battle. The next few months transformed humanity. With knowledge from their new allies, Earth's scientists made breakthroughs that would normally have taken decades. The 3 captured Council ships were repaired and modified for human use. But Lisa had an even bolder plan. "We shouldn't just sit and wait for them to return," she told the world's leaders. "Earth needs a presence beyond our planet." And so began Operation Expansion. Using the captured alien vessels and newly constructed human ships, Earth established bases on Mars, Europa, and Titan. Mining operations began extracting resources to build more defensive systems. When a small Council scout ship appeared at the edge of the solar system, it found not just Earth defended, but human activity spread across multiple worlds. The scout quickly retreated to report this unexpected development. In the Grand Council chamber, the news caused an uproar. "Impossible," shouted the Krith representative. "They cannot have expanded so quickly." Skithel's color had faded to an ashen gray. "They learn faster than any species we have encountered. And worse, they are inspiring rebellion among our subject worlds." Far from the chamber, Skinnera smiled as she sent another secret message to Earth. The humans were exceeding even her expectations. For the first time in thousands of years, the mighty Council faced a force it could not easily crush, and time was running out for them to decide what to do about it. 6 months passed too quickly. Earth had changed more in that time than in the previous century. New technologies appeared daily. Ships that could reach Mars in hours instead of months. Energy shields that could withstand powerful attacks. Weapons designed specifically to target Council vulnerabilities. But would it be enough? Admiral Lisa Nichols stood on the observation deck of the newly completed space station orbiting Mars. Through the large window, she could see the defense fleet, a mix of converted Council ships and new human vessels built with alien technology. "It's impressive," Frank said, joining her at the window. 6 months ago, we had never left Earth orbit. Now look at us." Lisa nodded. "But the Council fleet will still outnumber us 10-1. Quality over quantity," Frank replied with a small smile. "And don't forget our secret allies." Their conversation was interrupted by an urgent alert. A massive energy signature had been detected at the edge of the solar system. "They're here," Lisa said quietly. The Council armada was indeed massive, over 300 ships arranged in attack formation. At their center was the Council flagship, twice the size of any other vessel. The invasion force approached slowly, confident in their overwhelming power. In the Council flagship's command center, High Ambassador Skithel addressed the assembled representatives. "This primitive world has disrupted the order we have maintained for millennia," he declared. "Today, we will restore that order and make an example of Earth that will discourage rebellion for generations to come." The Krith representative growled in agreement. "Our scans show their defenses. They have been busy, but they cannot hope to match our power." "Begin the attack," Skithel ordered. The Council fleet moved forward, spreading out to surround Earth. But as they approached Mars orbit, they encountered something unexpected. A network of automated defense platforms that opened fire with startling accuracy. "They've mined the entire system," shouted a Council commander. Evasive maneuvers. Several Council ships took direct hits to their propulsion systems. Others found their weapons suddenly offline, targeted by the same pulse technology that had worked in the first battle. On the Mars station, Lisa watched the initial engagement with careful eyes. "First wave performing as expected," reported her tactical officer. "Enemy fleet disrupted but still advancing." Lisa nodded. "Launch second wave." Across the solar system, hidden human ships emerged from behind moons and asteroids, attacking the Council fleet from multiple directions. The Council commanders, trained in traditional warfare against less advanced species, struggled to respond to these unconventional tactics. Then came the biggest surprise of all. As the battle reached its peak, 30 Council ships suddenly changed course, firing not on human vessels, but on other Council ships. "The rebellion has begun," Frank said, watching the defecting ships with satisfaction. Led by Skinnera, crew members from subjugated species had seized control of these vessels. The plan, months in preparation, was working perfectly. In the Council flagship, chaos erupted. "Treachery," bellowed the Krith representative as reports flooded in. "Our own ships are firing on us." Skithel's color had drained to nearly white. "This cannot be happening. Contact the rebel ships. Order them to stand down immediately." But the rebels did not respond to Council orders. Instead, they transmitted a new message across all frequencies, one that could be heard by every ship in the battle. "The Council's rule through fear ends today," Skinera's voice declared. "For too long, they have presented themselves as protectors while exploiting worlds and species across the galaxy. Humanity has shown us that resistance is possible. Join us now in creating a new order based on true cooperation." As the message played, more Council ships hesitated. Crews that had long resented Council rule now saw an opportunity for change. The battle that was supposed to be a swift demonstration of Council power had transformed into something unprecedented, a fracturing of the ancient galactic order. High Ambassador Skithel stared at the tactical display in disbelief. Half his fleet was damaged or disabled. Dozens of ships had defected. The carefully planned invasion was falling apart. "Order a retreat," he finally said, his voice barely audible. "We must reconsider our strategy." As the remaining Council ships withdrew, cheers erupted throughout the human fleet. But Lisa knew this wasn't the end. "They'll be back," she said quietly to Frank. "But next time, I think we'll have even more friends." 1 year had passed since humans first learned they were not alone in the universe. 1 year since the Galactic Council had arrived with their offers of protection that masked their true intentions. Now, representatives from 23 different species gathered in the grand meeting hall of the newly completed Terran space station. The massive structure orbited Earth like a shining beacon, a symbol of how far humanity had come in such a short time. At the center of the hall stood a round table, intentionally designed so no species could claim a position of dominance. Frank Garcia, now serving as Earth's chief diplomat, looked around the room with quiet pride. Former enemies sat side by side. Species that had suffered under Council rule for centuries now spoke as equals. "It is time," Frank announced. "Let us begin." The doors at the far end of the hall opened. A delegation of 7 Council representatives entered, led by High Ambassador Skithel. The once proud Mordell moved stiffly, his color a muted blue-green. The Council members took their assigned seats, clearly uncomfortable with their diminished status. "The Galactic Council acknowledges the representatives of Earth and its allied worlds," Skithel said formally. "We are prepared to discuss terms of mutual cooperation." Frank nodded. "The Terran Alliance welcomes the Council representatives. Today we sign the Terran Accords, a new framework for galactic relations based on respect and true partnership." In the year since the Great Battle, the galaxy had transformed. The Council, though still powerful, had lost nearly a third of its territory as subjugated worlds declared independence. Skinera and her allies had formed a coalition that quickly allied with Earth. The humans' willingness to share technology and respect the sovereignty of other species won them many friends. Admiral Lisa Nichols, now commanding the United Earth Defense Fleet, stood beside the main view screen showing the combined ships of the new alliance protecting the station. Among them were vessels from 7 different species, all working together. "Did you ever imagine this?" asked Samantha Kelly, who had joined Lisa on the observation deck. "A year ago, we had never even left our solar system." Lisa shook her head. "Never. But humans are good at adapting." Back in the meeting hall, the formal signing ceremony began. Each representative approached the table to place their mark on the Terran Accords. When Sathel's turn came, he hesitated just briefly before signing. "The Council has existed for 4,000 years, he said quietly to Frank. "We believed our way was the only way." "That's the problem with thinking you have all the answers," Frank replied. "You stop looking for better questions." As the ceremony concluded, the view screen showed a new ship departing Earth orbit. The U.S. Defiant, humanity's first true deep space vessel, was beginning its maiden voyage. Its mission: to explore beyond known space, into regions no species had yet mapped. Dr. Alan West, now serving as the ship's chief science officer, watched Earth grow smaller on the monitor. "Where exactly are we going?" asked a young officer beside him. Alan smiled. "That's the exciting part. We don't know." In the Grand Council chamber on the distant Council homeworld, the remaining Council members watched the broadcast of the signing ceremony with mixed emotions. "They accomplished in 1 year what we failed to do in 4 millennia," said a younger Krith representative. "Created real unity among different species." "Because they offered partnership instead of domination," replied another member. "Perhaps there is something to learn from these humans after all." As the Defiant accelerated to faster-than-light speed, its crew looked forward with excitement and hope. Behind them, a new galactic order was taking shape, one where cooperation replaced conquest and diversity was seen as strength rather than weakness. The Galactic Council had indeed freaked out when humans rejected negotiation, but in doing so, humanity had changed not just their own destiny, but the course of galactic history. And across the stars, countless species were discovering what humans had always known, that true strength comes not from power over others, but from standing together as equals.